and welcome back to part two of our more thorough behavior training series. So we left off last time talking about sudden events. So some of those sudden events might be being sick, a poor night's sleep, for a child not having a way to communicate, not being given choices, changes in their routine. Right now, being at home with no fixed schedule could be a very big sudden event for both our children and for us. So we have to think about what sudden events are impacting the antecedent behavior and consequences. So then we're going to come up with a behavior support plan. And behavior plans really get broken down into three main pieces. The first is preventative. What proactive strategies are we going to put in place to minimize the sudden events and to be antecedent interventions? Then what we're going to teach. What are those replacement skills that we're going to teach our kids that meet the same needs as the behaviors that are happening? And then our responsive, our consequence-based strategies. What are we going to do when our child does engage in the maladaptive behavior? But more importantly, how are we going to reinforce when the child doesn't engage in the maladaptive behavior? And then if necessary, what is the crisis plan going to be? So how we prevent sudden events. Well, if a child's not sleeping at night, maybe we start school a little bit later. If they're not feeling well, maybe we're allowing a nap. We have several kids at our program that come in and we know that they're not 100%. They're having asthma issues. And we allow them to nap from 9 to 9:30 to kind of re-regulate before we jump into the school day. They're in a bad mood. Maybe we're increasing those fun preferred activities. Having more problems earlier in the day. Maybe we're giving them extra breaks to make sure that we're increasing some of that compliance behavior. So in terms of antecedent strategies, how do we build on what works? If we know the child is responding really well to being showered with attention, can we up the praise? If we know they respond well to frequent breaks, can we give them more breaks throughout the day? What can be done to help the child not respond to the trigger so that we don't see those challenging behaviors? If we know loud noises are a trigger for behaviors, can we look at using headphones? Can we teach the child how to cover their ears or ask for a walk when it gets too loud? How can we change the physical environment? Can we increase that predictability? Can we make the day more predictable so that we're not seeing those behaviors every time something changes? Pre-activity prep. I always tell teachers, if you're not prepared for the activity, you're going to be running wild. I always laugh when I see a teacher who takes about 5 minutes to get their 3 kids to the art center. And they sit down at the art table saying, I finally got those 3 kids here to art. And there's nothing on the table. And the teacher gets up, they go to get the art supplies. And what do we think happens when they're getting the art supplies? Shockingly, all 3 kids run away from the center and we're starting the cycle over again. Being prepared ahead of time. Having those visual supports for parents, they're not just for school. Please use visual cueing belts, use token boards, have those visuals there for our kids. If you need, feel free to email me, Jonathan K, JOHNATHANK at jcconline.com. I'm happy to send you visual supports. Schedules. All of our kids with special needs, particularly autism, should have some sort of visual schedule. It might not have to be that traditional board maker square pictures. It might be a written schedule where they can check it off. In transition warnings, please, if your kids are at home right now playing on the iPad, which I know is going on and it's okay, don't just pick up. Time to give up the iPad. Let's go. It's dinner time. 5 minutes and then we give up the iPad. 3 minutes and it's time for dinner. 1 minute when the timer goes beep, beep, beep. We're going to give up the iPad. Give them those warnings. Provide choices proactively. These are 2 appropriate choices. It's not, do you want to go play in oncoming traffic or do you want to do a puzzle? But we're going to be talking Thursday night on a how to work from home with your kids at home training. Choices are going to be huge in that topic. Oh, mommy's got a work call. Do you want to do the fruits and vegetable puzzles or the cars puzzle for 30 minutes? I don't care because you're going to do a puzzle. But you picking the cars puzzle and thinking you have control over the situation serves as a reinforcer for our kids. Shower kids with non-contingent reinforcement. I love the way you're sitting. I love the way that you're using your fork. You are so awesome. High five. shower them with that attention. Use those social stories or those social narratives for change. For our TICFA families, I did send out a coronavirus social story. If you want access, again, email me at jonathan@jcconline.com. Go with that work break presentation of demands. It shouldn't be non-preferred, 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 preferred. Let's look at non-preferred activity, preferred activity, non-preferred activity, preferred activity, and strategically use those preferred activities. If you know you have a 30-minute work call, that is an awesome time to break out the iPad or the big guns. How we change the environment when we get back to school. Look at your child's room if you're seeing those behaviors at school. Maybe they should be sitting closer to the teacher. Maybe they should be in the back of the room so they can take a break easier. Maybe there should be quiet music in the background, or that music might be too distracting and it should be a more silent environment. I love this at home and at school. This is actually in my classroom a long time ago. This served two purposes. When the curtains were down covering the shelf, it meant whatever was behind that shelf was off limits. So this would be a great place to put those toys that when it's not time, you put the curtain down on the shelf, you close the closet door, whatever it is, and that's your way of saying, can't use it now. For me as a teacher, I could shove everything messy back there, close the curtain, and the parents had no idea I wasn't organized. Setting up for your child before the activity. If you want your child to be doing table tasks while they're at home right now, have it out ready to go when they leave, finish breakfast, or when they come downstairs before breakfast. Increase that predictability. I know this is hard right now. Have some sort of a consistent schedule every day, whether it's start your day off with a morning meeting to review the routine each day, and try your best to stick to the schedule. I know now is a great time to teach. I know this was the schedule, but life's a little crazy right now and we have to move from the schedule a little bit, but stick to it as best you can. Use timers. I'm a big fan of timers. Why? It makes the timer the bad guy, not you. So if you say 5 more minutes and the iPad goes away, 3 minutes, when the timer goes beep, 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 iPad goes away, that timer is telling the child to put away the iPad. You aren't. That's a great way to handle those types of situations. Here's just a couple examples of a timer. Prepare our kids for change. This would be a notice Jimmy, circle time, grandparent visiting time will be changed on Monday because the world is on lockdown. The new schedule is blank, and it's given them that visual cue of what the change is going to be. Use a calendar as much as you can. We're going to go be at home the first week of January because it's winter break. Then we're going to school, but the 18th is a teacher work day, so you're going to go to work with mom instead. And it gives them that predictability. Also great to use for if one of the family members travels. If mom travels for work, you could have mom's home, mom's home, mom's home. Thursday, mom goes out of town. Saturday, mom's home, and it gives that visual cue of what's coming next. Using visual supports for contingencies. It's raining, so we can't go outside. I'm not the bad guy. I'm not telling you can't go outside. It's raining, so the rules say we can't go outside, It's coronavirus. We can't see our friends, but we're blaming it on something else. We're giving the visual of why we're removing ourselves from being the bad guy. Use a wait timer, 2 minutes, and you can have the toy. When the timer goes beep, beep, you get the toy. Here's the countdown. I love the ones where the red moves as the timer fills up. You can get them on Amazon for about $15. Great investment. Here's a self-regulation task strip that might be really helpful. When your child is starting to escalate, remember, we're going to stop. We're going to take deep breaths. We're going to count to 5. We're going to read our social story. We're going to squeeze our hands, and then we're going to go back and join our friends or join our family. First then, one of my favorite behavioral principles to use. Everyone's used this before. First eat your broccoli, then you get your ice cream. The first is always what you want your child to do. The then is what they want. I know a few of you probably have future businessmen or lawyers as children. They're going to say, I see your first broccoli, then ice cream. And I'll counter with first give me my ice cream and then I'll eat my broccoli. Never fall for that. Once they get the ice cream, there's no chance they're going to get their broccoli. There's no negotiation in first then. First, what I want you to do, then you can have what you want to do. This works on adults as well all the time. If you don't have the first then board, which I'm happy to send to you, here's a very high-tech, fancy piece of paper that says first then. Have those visual supports for boundaries, for schedules, for routines, for the materials they need going to school. Here's a great visual support. Everyone always laughs at me when I show this one. This was a child who had a hard time with out-of-seat behavior. We taught him he had to stay in the masking tape. If he wanted to leave the tape, he had to raise his hand. I know in theory he could have stepped over the tape at any time. Given that visual physical boundary was enough to teach him how to stay in area. Off limits, same as the curtain. iPad is closed, computer is closed. When we remove this, that means it's open. So here's a visual schedule example, and it's a little bit different. The child on the far left had to have concrete, real pictures, not the board maker symbols, and he can only see one picture at a time. Most of the kids could see the whole schedule up and down, and a few kids were on center strips. Your child's schedule does not have to look like anyone else's schedule. It just needs to be something that's successful for them. Here's a mini schedule. Again, another task strip. It's not just for behavior. This is self-help. We're going to open the tub of gel. We're going to squeeze it on our hand. We're going to rub our hands together. We're going to put it in our hair. We're going to comb our hair. A couple more weeks of quarantine, we're all going to need this visual task strip. Here's a leisure schedule. I can play on the iPad, then I play a picture game, then I can play on the iPad, then I play cards, then I can play on the iPad. Or I can play basketball, I can play with blocks, I can read, and then I can play on the computer. I love parking lots and vaults. You can tell I was the most popular teacher in the world with my paraprofessionals. I made all my staff put their phones in the parking lot. For our kids, put their favorite toy in the vault. And the only way to open the vault is to earn all 5 of their tokens. You love your toy car, it's in the vault, and you have to listen to mommy to earn your 5 tokens for that vault to open. Great strategy to motivate our children. Here's an example of a visual cueing belt. Again, you want your child to listen, you hold up the picture of listen. You want your child to check their schedule, you hold up the picture of check schedule. Here's another example of given choices. For break time, my child can choose to color, to pick from the sensory box, to look at books, to finger paint, to use the oil, or to play with the pop toy. Here are the 6 choices, and your child can pick their 6 appropriate choices. When you're using those visuals, it can be the real life picture or item, such as the musical truck or computer, or it can be a board maker symbol. Behavioral momentum. As we get into homeschooling or virtual schooling, this is going to be a great strategy to use. Behavioral momentum means basically no one likes doing hard things all day. So we use some easy activities to get the momentum going, almost like a snowball downhill. So if your child is awesome at gross motor imitation, they can clap hands, they can touch head, they can stomp feet with the best of them, but they have a hard time with letter identification. You might say, hey, Jimmy, clap your hands. Good job clapping your hands, high five. Jimmy, touch your head. That was wonderful, high five. Jimmy, stomp your feet. Beautiful, stomping your feet, fist bump, elbow bump, whatever it is. Jimmy, what letter is this? And because they're coming in contact with reinforcement from you, they're more likely to listen to that hard demand. And that might be a great way to get some of that schoolwork done. Make your schoolwork fun. This child loved superheroes. Wasn't a big fan of money. He liked spending it, didn't like counting it. We made him superhero money. He loved to count his Spider-Man money. This was part 2 of our parent training series. It will be uploaded tonight. Tomorrow, part 3 will be recorded. If you have any questions or want any materials, feel free to email me again at Jonathan, JOHNATHANK, @jcconline.com. Stay safe, guys.